Alright. It's finally the time. It seems we've been success for Togainu True Blood. Walkthrough 14. Okay. Well, Mama's still cooking in the kitchen in this one. And previously, Walkthrough 13, we finally done with Shiki's route. It feels like warming up for him.
Oh, and also I didn't make it to the stream. Didn't make it to the Star stream yesterday because I had to cover somebody's shift. But it is what it is.
Good answer. So now, we're now beginning Walkthrough 14. The new content route will be his name is Yukihito. He showed up inside the scenes, looked the eye to eye. He was voiced by Kamiya voice, famously. Hiroshi-san voice.
Yeah, they don't know the infamous.
He's famous voice actor, we know.
This is the Zero Keys on #1.
I played the Japanese version of portable version. Let's see how the English version. Because I'm gonna wrap this game up. So I'm gonna chase after him. It was him. Boy, he knew it. Here's life. There was no reason to chase after him. They had never been even spoke. Yet, for some reason, in that moment, all Akira could think of was pressure him. After passing through the automatic doors once more, Akira surveyed the lobby. He gazed cryptically. He scanned the zone into his target. There was something red stood out among them, the jungle of people. It's not quite prism, but it consists of nothingness. There he was, the man with the red hair. He leaned against the back wall, exchanged word with the men standing next to him for a moment, but as soon as the other man walked away, he hung his head. Should Akira approach him? I don't know. Before he could question his feet were already carried him forward. Akira's heartbeat echoes loudly in his ear as he waved through the crowd. The noises routed people as closer than his target. Before long, their surroundings blurred. They were submerged in water, and the red-haired man alone came to his focus. Suddenly, the question from the before resurfaced in his mind. Why did he approach him? What was his goal? Did he speak out to him? Because he had been watching them. It might have all been Akira's imagination, and in fact it was the most likely possibility. But that look burned his memory. That look told it a different story. Akira was sure it was what he seen. It has to be. Bewildered by his own actions, Akira he stood at the face of the red-haired man. Akira fixed his gaze squarely on him, unable to look away. With his head bald to his man features and remained obscure. Yet in the red hair was unmistakably the insane acid that attached to his memory. He parted his lips slightly, summoned a whisper that deafened his windpipe. Kyopro's voice crowded through his throat at his dry leaves, reaching out to make the contact. Oh!
Hello, Sailor!
Momo!
I mean, you need to do the clip.
What?
I'm just saying.
Fine, I'll do the res sound effect just in case. Don't worry, I'll edit it out.
I'm just kidding.
Fine. Then the man lifted his face. Suddenly, all Akira could think it was that his eyes were like glass. However, the glass was not the thin, transparent kind. It was the razor sharp, growing out of the wounds, mercilessly drawn forth from the color of the flesh and blood. Piercing, light brown marbles, reflected Akira's figures at their surface. The tag dangled at his neck. Was it he using Ikura participants? The red-haired man drew his chin back at his slighted and cocked his head and his side. His voice! His voice! I know! Me? The cold tune of the man's voice slicing through the air as it sharpened as the cunning look at his eyes. Akira called out to him, so it was only natural if he would ask. But the man hadn't done anything, really. It was merely in his gaze that had brought Akira here. Likewise, there was no particular reason for Akira to start a conversation. Stumbling with his questions, Akira found himself realizing just how ridiculous the situation was. He remained in silence, and the red-haired man, standing across the leg, tilted his head a bit more.
何か用があって声かけたんじゃないのか?
Yeah, as silence the red-haired man cast his eyes down with an exaggerated sign and began to move away from the wall.
待てよ。
Hold on a second. Oh, full sprite. Nice. Akira calls out the departed figure. The man had turned around, piercing in the gaze that sharpened the broken glass. Throughout his heart was pounding. Akira started steadying himself when he meets the man again undoubted. Silence hung through the air. The clamor of the lobby distorted until he was muffled. As he began to hear through the door, slowly faded into the illusory nothingness.
誰かと勘違いしてるんじゃないのか?
The man-cold's voice shattered the silence. The muted phonic surged back all at once. Akira now found himself questioning if he had indeed made mistakes. Perhaps it was all this was. At the club, he felt he was being watched. But maybe it wasn't his head? Akira searched the man's eyes, trying to understand what he might be truly thinking. But the only thing he found in those pale brown eyes developed any indiscriminate emotions of his own trembling likeness. There was no point in just staring at the empty reflection of himself. Maybe it only has been his imagination after all. Right as he was about to give up, Akira caught a glimpse of the man's eyes, now they slightly to the peripheral vision. The cunning edge of the sharpened glance appeared at eyes before blinking out of existence. And it is in that moment, Akira recognition turned into serenity. There was no questions. This man could be one who'd been watching him at the club.
もういいか?
Akira snaps out of his thought that to find a man look up to with him, and the deafened gaze chin slightly raised. He probably knew it too. He knew, yet he was determined and friend and interest. But a fleet in a moment, there's competing wills, pursuit of events in the air between the group tents. But there was Akira let the guard down first. Suddenly, it was all scenes and foolish to him. What was the point of the pressure things that, without a clear goal, what outcome is he accepting? He found out both meaning the nestlessness and the no longer interest to continue. Akira turned away and started for the entrance.
Oi.
This time, it was the man who called out to Akira.
お前
Uh,
いや
okay. The man's eyes now, and he was trying to figure something out.
さっき青いつなぎの男と話してただろ
Um, yeah, he knew. Akira's body froze and he headed to the toe upon hearing such unexpected words. The guy in the blue overalls was referred to him. I bet you know. The dark chilled gaze that had haunted Akira's mind returned, and his heart began to
あの
pound.
つなぎのやつ
The red-haired man started to say something. Then, just like that, he comes to his mouth shut. Did he know something about Cascade? And the heat of the frenzy to the crept to his neck. But the man shows no further listening to speak. But before he could think better that all Kira presses him advanced.
いえ、
何を
言いかけたことだ。
別に大したことじゃないそれとも何か気になることがあるのか
Sis, are you close your eyes just because of your Roshi voice?
Yes! I cannot help it! Sworn to his words, Kira bristled at the man's attitude. He didn't want to hear more. However, he also thought of the best is not to become further involved from the man. Earning the distance of other Ibra participants wasn't exactly wise strategy.
おい、ユキヒト。
Oh. As Akira struggled to finally answer the man's question, a voice calls out from behind. Yukito? Was that his name? As he passed by, the man gazed at Akira one last sleepy glance. Was it a challenge? No, it was an anger. But it low side or certain frightening anyone else. Felt something that appears upon Akira's cheek. As red-haired man, Yukito, walk away, Akira flee to the mix of emotions, well up inside him. What was spinning his reason to bring up to Kesuke, and then would start talking with him only to stop it just as quickly. I had no idea. As he extended the automatic doors in the hotel, the chilly air in his cheek. The overcast skies looked at a murky gray, a sense of the compliment hanging in the air. Slipping away from the main street into the shadows of the back alley, Kira found some courage and interest in the buildings. In the dark of his vision, images began to stream through his mind like scenes from the silent film. They become their own, flickered in interest in their faded, only to just start up again. Akira let out of bed of the darkness, fall over to the endless image, and the wanted to flee the moment he was requires all the thought. Well, I already know that scene. Okay, I already know that scene that was. Not worth it. I will get to the Yukito scenes. Okay. Okay, good. Hold on. Give me a second because back. Okay. Okay, new scene. It was then that Akira finally remembers where he was since the deja vu was coming from. It is. She's right. It was that man. The superhero man who had been pouncing on Akira suddenly started to wither in pain. One enormous difference in the come to this, but there was something particular about it. What was the seizure side effects of Rhine? The man has an eyes characteristic of the Rhine user. All the above of the else, Akira has adhered to strangeness of the man himself. It was the side effect of Rhine. It will be certain to explain things. Yet for some reason, that didn't feel right. There seems to be more of it. But all of the curative is go watch the hunch of the concrete evidence. Beyond that thought that it came to the standstill, and Akira let out a small sigh before quietly rising. I know what happened. Okay, I knew. He followed it just beyond the corner and ahead of him. Perhaps whoever it was hadn't noticed him, and the princess that had felt earlier was gone. But he was a certain someone there was. Akira constantly sneaked to glance around the corner, being careful to just keep the breath quiet. There was something faint quiver in the air, suggesting the move. Akira pulls out his knife and took it off after him. At the same moment, the shadow leaped from out of the bend. The movement went down, swinging his knife. The other erupted stopped moving. Huh? Something is about the voice struck to Akira's familiar. Started to just quickly turn into the direction. You! Beneath the dim glow of the dying streetlight, he saw a figure of red hair, Yukihito. Yes, I got it right. Akira immediately leaped back to the created distance between them. His mind was a whirl of confusion. Yukihito, too slow for traces of been with his face.
またお前か。
We meet at last.
それはこっちのセリフだ。
なんでこんなところにいる？
それもこっちのセリフだ。
I'll speak the same thing. What are you doing here? It seems that we're at the impasse. Yukihito frowned in displeasure to the sign, sheathed his knife into the holster of his
誰
waist.
か見なかったか？
誰を？
見てないならいい。
Yukihito's dismayed waved his speak to the left room from Akira's urging for much more. Realized and attempted to continue the conversation would be nothing but a waste of time. He let out a small sign before turning
ク
away.
ラブが壊滅状態になってる。
Yeah, there was a lot of blood in the club. Unspecified. The club. Shaken by the mention by the club, Akira's heart skipped a beat. He took it back over to his shoulder, pounding the quickening in his chest.
どういうことだ？
Akira's voice was tongued in attention. When he spoke to divert his gaze, Yukihito's frown in his brow and the recalling of
あれ
something.
はひどいなんてもんじゃない。一面血の海だ。目撃者はいない。何しろその場にいた奴は全員殺されてるからな。ただ、クラブから誰かが出てきたのを見たって奴はいた。
I see. Maybe he was referring to Takeru, or even himself. What became of Takeru after was yet to be known. This scene has been drenched in the red, assailing the sense of the both sounds of the scent. Akira cast his gaze to the ground, trying to stem the bitter
だ
memories.
から探してた。まだこの辺にいるかもしれない。
探してどうする？
Akira's flung to the calmness, surpassing the emotion of the surge of it inside him.
災いの目は早めに積んでおいた方がいいだろう。俺だけじゃない。探し回ってる連中は他にもいる。
The seeds of the disaster. Indeed, killing Will would have served and thrown to the game of the senseless of chaos. Now that he thought about it, the city atmosphere is taking to a greater quality. In the aftermath, the incident at the club, it was exactly one of the other Igra participants in another high alert. Thank you, Momo.
じゃあな。
Wait, are you leaving? I just want to get more questions about you. Wait up! Sorry. Wait up!
待てよ。
That's what I'm saying! Almost said that's what I'm saying. Wait up! I want to get to know. Anyway. I was trying to eat some steak, Kira. I just need to talk. Without thinking, Kira called out to Yukihito as he turned away. There is something he still need to ask. There was something about it has been nagging about the back of his mind. He wants to ask about
この
Kesuke.
間何を言いかけた？
ああ。お前、あのつなぎの知り合いか？
Yeah, that's the one.
ああ、
そうか。
Yukihito stopped talking then and as he confirmed that something with himself. After the moment, he gave Zuna Kira a stern look.
あのつなぎのやつ、ラインやってるだろ。
Bingo! That's what caused. Kira's Vincent went spotted with the red and black bursts of the light.
見たんだよ。あいつがラインやってるところを。
So that's why.
そうだ。
Yeah. He's not kidding. Kira's retorted as he quietly struggled with his experiencing, fixing his gaze on Yukihito. Yet, Yukihito simply gazed down at Kira, without any particular emotion.
嘘じゃない。
Yeah, I believe you on this. There was no way. Kesuke was really interested of even to join Yukiro in the first place. Akira could have wrapped his head around. There is no way Kesuke will never touch Ryan.
お前がどう思おうと、俺が見た事実は変わらない。
Perhaps, having sensed that Akira engaged, Yukihito has passed out of the word and turned his back and walked away. Akira, hold on. Okay. Hold on. Thank you. Where is he eating? I'm just hungry after work. While resting. The gear once this figure retreats into the Saddle Island, vanishing from the sight. Like something could have rented a creature of the dark. Heavy chills slithered him all the way to the front of the gear's spine and napped at his neck. Bye. So, that's when he taking the rhyme. Kira just couldn't bring himself to believe it. You think? As previously in Multibeast Routes, it's kind of like basically your fault. That's all I have to say. So basically what I said, I was kind of right. It is kind of your fault. Good thing my brain was right. Akira just couldn't bring himself to believe. As the words were uttered, he recalls his old friend, Dark Eyes. Let me stretch my legs. Okay, continue. The cold, faint smile just over within his mind. With a thud, he leans back to the desk in a nearby wall and slumped down. Everything that Akira was witness starting to merge together to dread. Dread out of the murder in his mind. He couldn't make any sense of any of it. Closed his eyes, tightly over his head, in his hand and has lowered his face to his knee. Reeling from the shock, Akira has looked into the ruins of the abandoned building, spending the night there. Whenever he falls asleep, he remains awake. He could have quite discerned at that time. He may have dozed off, lost in the haze, slipped toward. Okay. Okay, I already know that scene. And I don't care. New scene. Akira spent the night without waking to sleep, and he walked through the maze like an alley. Narrowly in the dimness, steps to the fellow developed any sense of the reality. He wasn't going anywhere in particular. He only knew that he didn't want to stop. He kept moving. With his utterly exhaust, he knew that it was walking, but he couldn't feel the sensation of the pressing against the ground. The only thing sounds that echoed midnight on the fridge of the buzz of anxiety. He didn't want to think about anything. His dream life steps in a shake, and before he knew, he found himself touching the wall of the abandoned building. He thought it was no time to brief rest. Frankly, as his current state, Akira wouldn't have quit to handle anything to Kamila's away, so this wasn't what he could be to do at the moment. He approached the entrance of the building, and there's constantly survey in the interior. Upon confronting there was no one else there, he stepped inside. The building is at first glance compact. Head to the surprising depth in the main hallway, stretching the movement further than he expected. Akira walked down to the hall, tending it carefully to the void, and making it a sound. Even the sound of the creaky scenes of the echo throughout the entire building. Rooms are scattered on both sides, and there is a door shut tight. The layer of dust covered everything inside. As he peeped down the dimly in the corner, he realized that the door to the room, further ahead, is slightly open. Just in front of the door, there is something white falling to the ground. Curious stares at it intently in a moment before coming into realization that was a paper. Wasn't there someone inside the room? He stops and tries to scan the sign of life. It didn't sense anything. But he knew that at this time, both the physical to mental exhaustion, it was a predicted steer, clearing anything scenes in the side of the blood disconnect dream. Just as Akira was about to turn to leave. He stops. A piece of paper lying before the door caught in his eye. Something's scribbled on it. The stalk of the white of the paper fell out of the place against the aged building, making it a strangely surreal sight. Having been prepared to leave, Akira considered the next move. After the confirming to once that there was no sign of anyone else, he approached the door. The paper, rather worn gently and curving the black lines upon its surface. It looked more than a stretch. Any sort of written. It seems it has been abandoned before being complete. In the place decided as Toshima, who was to be drawing pictures. Still, there were residents that were participating in the Yukihito. He supposed it wasn't as strange after all. Perhaps it's only because of the custody before witnesses of brutal it seems. That felt something so rare. You could have helped it, but wonder what kind of person has drawn it. The person's unfinished. Drawing gave it his costly. The cover of the line of the filled in the space stood out abruptly a day broken on way mid-course. It had failed, forsaken of the odds of the Toshima atmosphere. Gear looked up, casting the gaze to the door. Sure enough, it didn't seem as if anyone inside. Akira set the paper aside and peered through the gap of the door into the room. Oh. That strange place. He frowned at the oddness of all of it. Was it extremely just as a small bed? There were no furniture to be seen. That in itself is not particularly surprising. Rather was not out of the place, but a scatter of paper is covered in the floor. Nearly every sheet of the paper bordered the drawing. Some of them are left unfinished, while the others are mostly in detail of the business of sketch was stark. The room was a complete fill of drawings and the only drawings. Akira felt a silent pressure, bare with the little from the promoting the small industrial gaps. That's so strange. In the room that briefed the furnishing, there was nowhere to hide. With the almost silence of the swiftness, Akira passed her body against the wall, besides the door, reached out the knife with his waist. He strained his eyes, trying to make out of what's coming. The footsteps grew closer until they reached the door. Before an intruder could have step aside, Akira drew his knife and thrust it towards the entrance. The opponent strode to the bottom of the gaps in the breath. Akira had stopped his blade as it shot it at their throat.
What?
You again! You again! Yukihito! He was met with Yukihito's black brown eyes. Why did it strike the tremble of his sight? With one swift motion, Yukihito stepped back and unleashed a rapid punch into the Akira abdomen. Oh dear.
なんでお前が
Same here, what are you here? Akira sensed the hint of discomfort in this man's tone. On the other day, when they had spoken at the hotel, his attitude could have been described as ignorance. Now, it seems it changed with the panic.
そっちこそ。
関係ないだろ
His words is bitted. If they were carried this up to the uptones of an alarm.
出てけよ
Based on Yukihito's uncharacteristic behavior, Akira suddenly realized something. He looked around the room and his gaze landed in the bed in the corner. The bed looks a relic of the bygone era, is yet untouched by dust. That bed was still in use, and Yukihito's has shown to act like there is nothing out of the ordinary. Which meant
住んでる。
Kira mothers before thinking anything. Yukihito scowled to the front of his brow.
たまに使ってるだけだ
I see.
この絵、
So all the papers are drawn on the floor.
違う
Oh. Yukihito sharpened his gaze, but he couldn't hide his confusion. The drawings were vivid, they looked like they were alive. The man before him, they were artists. Akira once again cast his gaze down into the scattered papers.
だからそんなことよりなんでお前がここに
別に。これが落ちてたから気になって。
Suddenly, Yukihito's was pale. Yukihito stares at Akira as he was looking for something utterly comprehensible.
なんで
わからない。
わからない
With a short, shadow sign, Yukihito turned away and glanced sideways at Akira.
ずいぶん無防備だな一人でのこのこ入り込んできてヤバい目に遭うとか考えなかったのかよ
どこにいたっ って死ぬ時は死ぬだろ。
軽い考えだな。
本当のことだ。
After returning, Akira fixes his gaze squarely on Yukihito.
この町に命の安全が確保できる場所なんてあるのか。
It was more than a challenge than a question. Yukihito's only response, it was slowly narrow his eyes.
変なやつだな、お前。
Yukihito leans back against the wall, besides the door crosses his arms.
命をかけてまで気になったものが判明してすっきりしたか。なら出てけよ。
I'm sorry.
For the love of God, stop reminding my phone! Anyway. Comfortable with Yukihito's surrender hostility, Akira found no reason to prolong his days. Akira had got of acknowledged. Akira had acknowledged maybe he was mistaken in treating and the Yukihito's reaction, one of the complete rejections. Leave quickly what would be the best. He turns to the exit. He casts his gaze on the floor. The drawings would fill the room. The drawings that filled the room, and then describe the princess.
これ
Oh, new CD. That's new.
全部お前が書いたのか。
It was a casual question. Muttered while he was half interest. But again, it says of the mix of the anger with Yukihito.
だったらなんだよ。
生きてるみたいだな。
Only after he closed his mouth, it didn't Akira realize what he said.
何が。
映画。
あ？
Yukihito wanted bluntly puzzled expressions.
なんだそれ。どういう冗談だ。
Even Akira couldn't comprehend why he said that he did with confusion hanging in the air between them. As he looked at the pictures, the words trembled in his mouth on their own. But his interest is not to make fun of Yukihito. When Akira first entered the room, he was genuinely overwhelmed, which he was alone in because of Yukihito's presence. Since he got into the train and the thought, Yukihito scowled at Akira, then he closed his eyes and let out a long deep sigh.
ほんと、変なやつだな。
Yukihito's mutters, softened himself in the gaze and dropped to his feet, felt limp.
俺の絵を見たやつ、仲間とかも、だいたい気味悪いとか、意味がわからないって言うけど。
仲間？
Wait, your teammates?
チームの。
I see.
イグラにチームで参加してるのか。
別に珍しい話じゃない。他にも結構いる。誰か一人がイルレに勝てばいい。個人参加より楽だ。
He was right. There are no reasons saying you have to be the last man standing. Work with the others and probably much more epic. But the man, if only I knew get a better mind, I wish. But the man in the front, Akira didn't seem to after either money or rhyme. He had to beat it for something else.
なんだよ。
As he was running out of patience, The voice cut through to the silence, interrupting Akira's thoughts. Mind tempting the questions, Akira turned his eyes towards Yukihito. Suddenly, Yukihito's expressions transformed. What? The ones with the stripe. Yukihito closed the distance between them and grabbed a hold of Akira's arms.
話せ。
お前やっぱり
What?
前に会ったことあるか
Wait. You knew him? Caught off guard, Akira's mind went blank. Yukihito was asking that now. From Akira's perspective, it was a question too absurd to justify of reasons. Lifting up from the shake, Akira freed his arm from Yukihito's grasp and shot into the sharp glare. The strange, relaxed mood of the moment ago vanished into the thin air.
ふざけるな。
What is going on?
違うもっとずっと前に
誰かと勘違いしてるんじゃないのか。
Main-changed his glare. He pointed and returned to the words that Yukihito had said to him from the hotel. Unfazed, Yukihito continues to peek at Akira. The expression yeah. Expression hold on. I need to get a better mic. I'm so done with this laptop, like. And now his eyes are.
ガキの頃孤児院にいなかったか
Huh? Involuntarily, Akira frowned his brows his questions. Bring from the orphanage. What's the exact amount of common? Was it that Yukito was getting at?
どうなんだよ
だったらなんだよ。
Overwhelming by the intent of the line. Questioning his reply without his lips, sparked to recognize and take Yukito's eyes.
どこかで見たことあると思ったらそうかお前同じ孤児院だったんだ
The same orphanage? Suddenly, Kira felt something shifted deep within his mind. He had a distracted sensation, a battle memories being straightened by something unseen. But there was something sensational was fleeting, and the ones that passed, he felt nothing.
覚えてないか覚えてないって顔だな
Perhaps his thoughts was written off his face, because Yukihito's lips curved into the smile.
まあそうだろうなでもまさかお前も
Yukihito halted his words. He needed to realize something.
なんだよ。
なんでもない
Considering Yukihito was just about to say something about Akira himself, but he couldn't help himself to be curious. Guess we gotta go get back. Shit, this might be he knew. Well, as Akira exited the building, he took a deep breath, released into the outside air, exhaled slowly. He walked into the short distance of the back alley, conferred to the absence of any human presence, and then leaned against the wall, sat down, and closed his eyes. Without moving, he stays there, waiting for the unsettled feelings to calm. After the brief rest, Akira began to walk down to the shadowed alleyway. Okay. Okay, I already know the scene. So what the hell not? As he thrown the walls to either side, stretched it into the distance. Akira gazed, chased after the path of the flying in the sky, smoothed in a blanket of thick clouds. The air, tipped to the flame, enveloped him in unique scent and rising through the ground, signal to the shout. It was so soon to fall. He longed into the rain of the fall swift and washed away murky thoughts of his chill vibe. Okay. Okay, another rain start. Okay, new scene. Got it. For the longer had Akira stayed like that. Everyone wanted to sense of his numb, even if he didn't know the answer. The time quickly melted his feelings to the sound of the falling rain, blunted his ear to the ground. He didn't want to think about anything. Read his very open eyes, and he would see what a gray world surrounding him. He wouldn't mind fade away, just like this. But suddenly, the endless sound of the rain wasn't around. He felt the presence like the gap of the rain, as well as sounds of breathing, heard it like someone run out of breath. It's you again. Pierre looked up to find a pair of the shocked of light brown eyes staring back at him. He recognized those eyes. They belonged to Yukihito. Why was he here?
Oi.
The voice had reached Akira's ears. It was hoarse and almost drowned out by the rain. Yukihito kneeled on the knee. Akira falling into his gaze, passes his eyes down to his head. It was all red. Dyed red. It was an injury. For all he knew, it feels like it has been a long-gone dream. Paul noticed his blood hand. Yukihito grimaced at his attempt to lift Akira.
動けるか
Oh, I'm okay.
どうして
Why are you here?
話は後だ
Well, Yukihito supported his back. Akira slowly raised to the upper body. The red tickles of the blood flowing from his left arm, merged with the rainwater, sunken into across his back. He follows the trail of the blood. His eyes then froze. Two knives were still lying down on the ground. One in his hand to the other. What did the vicious of looking at the cascades has used? Started Akira's the surroundings. But there's no matter how much he looked, the figure was sort of nowhere to be found.
圭介は
Akira's untangledly found himself questioning. Yukihito, a better look flickered his eyes, shining through the dim
行
light.
くぞ
He found other words. Yukihito circled the arm to wood his waist to sit him up.
離せ
With a short grumble, Akira struggled to shake him off.
おい
圭介を追わないと
It was still time. But Akira gave his chase now. Oh, thank you for the raid, Usagi Hime!
Hello, buddy.
Hello, Usagi. For those you don't know, I'm starlaminamoto, a half human, half fox, mafia yakuza, and I was playing to guarantee True Blood, the all-age virgin. I'm beginning of Yukihito's route. The semi-route is almost come to the end. And so thank you. Thank you so much for following.
Thank you for the raid.
I should thank you for the raise. Thank you so much. Anyway, if Akira gives his chase now, there's still no chance that he could have catch him. But where was he? Where did he say he'd go? No matter how Akira strained his eyes, there are no traces of Keisuke to be seen. Akira knew Somewhere deep inside him, he knew. He knew, yet even so.
追わないと。
You're injured now, Kira. He might want to save you. Yukihito will save you. Don't worry about it. All his senses fell at a distance as he healed his mind. The body was no instinct. It was like he was looking down for someone else's body. Despite Yukihito's resonance, he attempted to stand by himself.
Are you winning?
Was I am almost gonna finish that route once and for all. Until tomorrow. Yukihito pressed it down to the both hands again.
お前おとなしくしろ。
Yeah, he's right. You need to stay put.
離せ。この
Just when he thought he shook him off, Yukihito grabbed him and then the two trembled to the ground, water splashing around them. Kira's pulses, racing the vision, started to whirl inside his head. His side blurred and narrow. After wrestling in the rain, Yukihito eventually granted an upper hand. He clutched the Kira's behind, forcibly pushed him up at their legs and still tamed. Despite the struggle, Yukihito appeared to wield it more than a strain than one. It accepted the glances. Now the rain is locking it tightly. Akira's shoulders immovable.
離せ。うるさい。
Their anger shouted a shot, swallows by up to the rain. Suddenly, as recalling the distance memory, his left hand began to draw with the pain. Akira had it felt until then. The truth was that he knew that it might be already too late to save him. The pressure might be in vain. Man. Sheesh. You need a... It has to be gone. For good. Well, Yukihito, you did the right thing to do this. Just carry him. I don't complain.
Like did all the paper for us. That's all we learned.
Yeah. Yukihito dragged Akira from, and eventually they made a room in the abandoned buildings. Both soaked in the bones, they stumbled inside. The room is a developed life, has a dark little world outside, and the scent of the dust is heavy in the air. Yukihito disposed of Kira on the floor, but the strips off the jacket and tossed it aside. Their clothes were as heavy as the water with every
その
movement.
ままじゃ乾きにくいし風邪ひくぞ。
Okay. Despite Yukihito's warning, Akira couldn't bring himself to move. Akira stood motionless, letting the water drip out of his hair, until Yukihito clicked his tongue to grab the Akira's arm. Yukihito pulls out of Akira's jacket.
おい。
触るな。
うるさい。
Judging for that in a nutshell, more like sounds like Levi in this one. I couldn't say Lord accurate in this Attack on Titan in this one. This is the Lord accurate. Akira wants to fight Yukihito's off, but realistically speaking, he was out of the energy. It will be a trouble with his work. He allows himself to effectively strip out of his jacket. You should be. The two men sat in a distance from one another and felt an uneasy silence. Droplets of the water from their bodies, littering the floor in the dark spot. After a while, there was the sound of a soft sighing.
手は怪我。
Akira looked at his left-handed, realized that the one that is still open was in a stream of fresh blood. Yukihito left the room. and the profound stillness settles, leaving only the sound of the rain and the other white noises. As he slowly calmed down, the cold reality of the situation is watered down on him. He grimaced. It was like that there was something struck by the back of his throat. He fled away from the lump of the sink in the pit of his stomach. The echo of the final scream. Keisuke's faces are replayed over and over again in Akira's head, cleared out of the too raw. Here's Stacy. I wonder how much time was passing. Until eventually he hears someone's at the door. His eyes split open. Yukihito was standing in the entrance. As he entered the room, Akira knows that he was carrying something. Yukihito's something that was Akira's frown in his brow. His grasp and his irritation. Even hearing Yukihito's explanations, Akira hesitated to extend his hand. He remained silent. Yukihito's merely sat down in front of Akira's and grabbed his hand impatiently. His immediately tried to pull his arm back, but Yukihito's firm grasp on it. It might hurt.
我慢しろ。包帯も消毒液も品切れだったんだよ。
Okay.
もういい。
Akira attempted to restrain his hand once more, but then he seized by the even stronger force. The roughness of Yukihito's grip was enough to make Akira jerk forward. Oh, he had no choice to do it. Yukihito's brought Akira's hand into his mouth, and the unbeliever ran his tongue over the wound. It was one way because to cut off his wounds. He wiped out the blood of care, and then ran his tongue over the cuts as he seals it. Just bear with him. It might a little bit hurt. The wounds burnt him with pain. Akira pulled back his hand with his might. Where did it escape from his face is such an absurdity. Instead of it, he raised his fist to deliver the blow. Akira punched the barely missed the mark.
ふざけるな。
傷なんか舐めときゃ治る。
I never thought about that. Well, licking the wounds is the only way to cure it this way. I'm not sure how it works, but it's fine, you do you. What, this man an idiot? With each pressing a moment, Akira glares at the brute even intense, as if its feels was standing being a product of the fire within. But Yukihito's remain up calm is nothing else amiss. There's no point to getting more angry. Akira lets out a heavy sigh, turning his back to the Yukihito, sets back down. The lingering warmth of the Yukihito's tongue made his wounds throbbing with pain.
悪かったな。余計な真似して。
You don't have to apologize. You did the right thing.
You did the right thing, dude.
Yukihito spoke in the tone. Other you developed their rooms. Akira has nothing to say in return. For some time after that, both Kira and Yukihito remained silent. The only thing that could be heard inside the room is pattering of the rain against the building's concrete. Nothing else. Let me drink. Angling guardly, cooling of the stillness, eating events of the transcript begin to resurface to the visitors. Keisuke changed beyond recognition. Kira's feeling left uncovered. But it might be already too late. All was lost. The pain further deeper. Then the wound in his hand pierced for his heart.
あいつが
Yeah. Yukihito's began to mutter
あ
quietly.
いつがあそこまで変わったのはやっぱりラインの副作用のせいなんだよな。
Akira knew immediately who he was talking about. Suppressing the emotions drowning inside of him, Akira opened his mouth to
見
speak.
てたのか。
途中から
Pausing, Yukihito's narrowing his eyes as attempt to recall
あい
something.
つ見かけて追いかけたんだ。探し回ってるうちに争ってるような音が聞こえて、そうしたらお前が倒れてた。
So here you are, you found him. After Akira struggled about that. You know how it goes. By the candy addictions. Yukihito frowned up, looked at the spot of the colored floor, his expression betraying the complex series of emotions.
ラインを使ってるやつなんて今まで何人も見てきた。でもあいつは今までとは何か違う。
やめろ。
He didn't want to hear any more than that.
もういい。もう
Akira mutters his words seeps out of the deep of his heavy skin in the throat. It was miserable. Hearing the truth someone else like this, he felt pathetic. He wanted to leave everything behind. Akira grabbed his head, his fingers, untangled it as a dump of hair. Throughout the silence, save the rain, Akira wanted desperately to cover his ears. It was the guilt of the source of the tormented voice that he heard.
あいつも同じ孤児院だろ。
Oh, this is new. I'm a little concerned. The reason. Yukihito's hold on. Yukihito's gaze fixed in the face of Akira's eyes. He was like to search for something. Was it the mere chance that Yukihito guessed correctly? Or there was more to it?
大抵いつもお前と一緒にいた。違うか。
Unable to conceal his astonishment, Akira stares back at
お
him.
前あいつの記憶はあるのか。
ああ。
はっきり覚えてるか。
Akira's memories orphanage and scattered and incomplete, like a fragment of a film reel. Suddenly, he recalled to buy the casket, used to smile when they were kids. I knew it wasn't childhood friends trait. No matter how coldly Akira treated him, Keisuke always clung to him. Whenever Akira glared at him, Keisuke would have never showed the grief of the look of fear, but his face exhausted with a worried smile. Back then, Akira had thought of it was annoying. But now, it was too late for such reminiscing.
孤児院の頃の記憶あまりないだろう。途切れ途切れでよく思い出せない。違うか。
Yukihito was right. Akira had no recollection whatsoever of his beginnings at the same orphanage. And yet, Yukihito claimed to remember both Akira and Keisuke. Upon bringing me to live Akira's perplexing expression, sincerely the fill of Yukihito's eyes.
あの孤児院にいた子供は全員被験者だ。
A test subject. Curious frown. What a bizarre words to use.
何の話だ。
俺たちの話だ。
Yukihito's limited before Akira, looking at him right into his eyes. It's like what was he trying to convince Akira it wasn't someone else's story. It was theirs.
俺たちのいた孤児院は 実験で適合しないと判断された奴らが集まる場所だった。
Akira could wrap his head around of it. What was Akihito's saying? What experiments? All of a sudden it's too outlandish. It's like some kind of elaborate hoax. Perhaps the thoughts were written all over his face, as Yukihito slightly even narrowed his eyes.
バカバカしいって顔だな。冗談だと？
夢でも見たんじゃないのか。
孤児院に放り込まれる子供は実験の記憶を消される。覚えてなくて当然だし、記憶も穴だらけになる。
いい加減にしろよ。こじつけるにしても。
俺は覚えてる。
Yukihito started to firmly cut to the Kurosawa.
どういうわけか。俺の記憶は消えなかった。研究所でどんなことをされたか、すべて覚えてる。
As Yukihito's tread his voice seems to tremble slightly, a hint of distress twisted his features, and his eyes took it as sharp like they even before.
拷問とかじゃない。それでも精神的な打撃は体に受ける痛みよりもっとずっと深いところを傷つける。それに俺たちを見る研究員たちの目つき、人間だなんて思っちゃいない。生体兵器のための優秀なパーツはどれなのかと探る冷酷な目だ。
生体兵器？
All sounds vile. All the sounds vile. And then there were words that Akira had never heard before. Has to be another joke. But then he thought of this. He felt it was like a quiet pressure of Yukihito's rock. Honestly, treated as swallowing him whole.
俺たちは生体兵器としての素質を調べるために集められたんだよ。もちろん表向きには研究所、エネとの存在は隠されてた。製薬会社ラビット、聞いたことくらいあるだろう。
Rabbit, Johnny, even Akira, who was out of the loop of the memory many inexperts knew of it. But it did have really had ties to the laboratory of development of bioweapons. Akira trying to recount to himself everything he just heard, but no matter how he thought of it, he couldn't make sense of it.
すべての事実に気づいたとき、愕然とした。けど、俺以外は誰も研究所の記憶がなかった。それでいろいろ調べ出した。一体何が行われていたのか。
Akira could understand what the man before him was saying, but his heart was pulsing wildly with anxiety, as he had become separated entirely of his own. A chill crept out of his body. Unpleasant sleep began to seep into his palms.
信じられないか。
Without a question, he found himself unable to decide either way. It was unthinkable. Akira didn't want to believe it, and yet it certainly Yukihito gazed off him bewildered.
もしかしたらあいつも実験の影響なのかもしれない。
実験の影響？
ラインであそこまで荒れ狂った人間は今まで見たことがない。あいつが俺たちと同じ孤児院だったっていうなら実験の影響があるんじゃないかと思っただけだ。
An effect of the experiments. Could they really be the case? Gradually, the reality of Yukihito's story became unindented, and then Akira found himself starting to accept
こ
it.
んな国、とっとと潰れちまえばいい。何もかもなくなっちまえばいいんだ。
Oh. Let's see. Turning his eyes at the sun in the mirror, Akira looked up at the Yukihito's found that his face contorted in pain. Suddenly, the other question pops out of his head.
どうしてイグラに参加を？
That's the main question. How come? Yukihito awkwardly averted his gaze. There was a moment of silence. Just when it seems that Yukihito wasn't going to answer at all, he finally spoke up again. Hatred dripped at his words.
この国を潰してやろうと思ったからだ。
That makes sense.
潰す？
消えなかった記憶のせいで俺がどれだけ苦しんだかわかるか？毎晩必ずと言っていいくらい悪夢にうなされる。なのにこの国は俺たち失敗作をなかったことにしようとしてる。そんなの俺は絶対に許さない。
Oh man.
そのためにビスキオを乗っ取って内側から引っかき回してやろうと思った。バカバカしくて青臭い考えだけどな。でも俺にはそれ以外思いつかなかった。とにかく何かしたかった。
The words Yukihito spat that Elena accepted sealed. Yukihito chuckled to himself, self-deprecatingly, and then allowed a
チームの連中はそのことを知ってるのか？
いや、もともとチームは利用するために入った。個人戦よりも楽だからな。情報屋みたいな真似やってるのもチームをより有利にするためだ。新人のチェックとかな。
Yukihito's gestures forced Akira with a nod. Now he knew that certain. It wasn't in just his head. He's been watching him at the bar. Perhaps they were new things with his name and they were coming from. Yukihito gazed and followed his own hands.
でもイグラに勝ち上がることができたらチームの連中には俺の考えの全てを伝えようと思ってる。あいつらならきっと乗ってきてくれるはずだ。なんだよ。
別に。
With a curt answer, he turns his face away. There are some team battle and blasters. But Akira has once wanted to consider joining any. If any of the groups is started to the same values, gather multiple people and in one place would invariably lead to the different viewpoints. Perhaps that this one seems trivial with a godly widen, and in the end, and the group will be doomed to fall apart. Forming the team outcomes is clear and meaningless, at least at a day where Akira's fulfilled. But maybe it wasn't always the case. What matters wasn't the group's size, but how many of they could come together to reduce frictions. Akira feels like it's starting to understand that too. The story of the orphanage from the earlier it still don't feel real, but everything is true. But Akira restrained his memories like Yukihito, maybe he would have been harbored the same feelings.
お前はなんでイグラに参加したんだ？
わからない。
なんだよそれ。
Akira certainly wasn't about to spill the truth that he was out to talk about the different motives.
死と隣り合わせの感覚。それが知りたいとは思った。
With a mock sneer, Yukihito shifted, turned his back to Akira.
そうか。お前そういえばブラスターの優勝者なんだっけか。だからいいぐらいか。ブラスターはお遊びでぬるかったか？
別にそういうことじゃ。
死と隣り合わせの感覚。ね。
Even when Akira turned around, you could have seen Yukihito's face. He's still wetting red hair cleansing the snap of his neck. With each deep breath, his back rubs and his follows.
死んだ方がマシだって思いたくなるような苦痛もある。覚えてなくて幸せだな。
The conversation stopped. No remembering that ignorance was bliss.
Yep.
The last words Yukihito spoke to the at the depths of his ears. For some reason, he felt like to have committed any great sins. Back to back with Yukihito's, Kira spent the night wide awake, staring at the gray floor at the break of the dawn. Hmm.
お前、これからどうする？
Akira left. Akira left out his thoughts, wondering if he prompted insulting questions. To search for Keisuke was paramount. Furthermore, he needed to leave Toshima.
あいつをケイスケを探したい。
I'm not sure.
もし死んでたら
I don't know.
可能性としては十分考えられる。そういう覚悟もしておけってことだ。
ああ
Akira knew. He knew Yukihito's constantly, he clenches his fist. Better high hopes. Two resumed the walk in silence. Not interested in exchange words. They continued the court, sticking together without getting too close. Yukihito made no particular effort to the part of Akira. As they emerged in the back of the alley into the main street, the hotel came into view. Nearby, the sketchy looking at the types of clustered together into the small groups.
Yukihito!
Hearing a voice called from behind Yukihito's, turning around.
Toya.
Oh.
なんでそいつと
Toya's approaching as he questions. Yukihito stops in front of the two of them. He's spoken as well as he knew Akira. Not that Akira is certain that they have never met.
別に
信頼できないやつに俺たちの話をするな。
こいつは
Yukihito gazed and felt into the side of them back again.
そんなに悪いやつじゃない。
Rather than his tone dismantled his voice at Akira by surprise. He never thought that he would be described like that.
おい、お前らどけよ。邪魔なんだよ。
はあ
トーヤ。
なんなんだよお前ら。
なんだっていいだろ。どけって言ってんだよ。
知るけ。
おい、もう行こうぜ。
何ビビってんだよ。
だってあっちのが人数多いしよ。
はあ、アホか。たく、こうなったらいっそタグ取りでもやらかすか。なんだよお前、ビビりすぎなんだよ。
違う。
ああ、
お前。
うん。
お前、
化け物。
化け物。
New CG. That's new CGs.
そうだ。こいつ化け物だ。
俺見てたんだ。こいつの血を舐めた途端、仲間が苦しみ出して、そのまま。
はあ、あいつ言ってる？
嘘じゃねえよ。喉を押さえて転げ回ってたんだ。こいつのせいだ。
おい行くぞ。俺たちまでやられちまえ。
Gee, pathetic is scared.
おい
But yes, someone had a voice. Snacks back to the attention to find Yukihito's peering at him, looking
お
puzzled.
前大丈夫か
Nah,
何
fine.
もない。
That's what I'm saying.
顔色が悪い
He shook his head gently, covered his mouth with his hand, and turned away.
なんか胸くそ悪いな。とっとと中入るぞ。
Looked at the sonograms. Tony was just his uneasy comrades. It seemed as if his shoulder his role of the leader. The other member cast a silence, glanced at Kira as passed by him, and then bided and entered by the hotel.
お前もとっとと来いよ。あんまり構いすぎんな。
Tony shrugged at Kira's sharp look, muttered something, and then followed the members into the hotel, leaving Yukihito's at Kira's along the main street. Yuki was let out of time and turned his gaze in the direction of part of the man and the gone. Had gone.
いくらなんかやってると精神的に持ちこたえられないやつも山のように出てくるぼーっとしてると変なのに絡まれるぞ
Kira turned away silently. He didn't have anything to say. Vision seeped into his mind, phoning it in spite of the pain. Yuki took signs once more. He adjusted his chin towards the hotel, illuminated behind them.
つなぎのやつの情報探すんだろ
Falling back to reality, and then Yukihito has already started to walk towards the hotel entrance. He took a deep breath, aimed to the clear to the tremolo within his exhale slowly. Just a little while. He thought it was about pressuring into his thoughts. Akira decided to focus solely on the settle to the torch in the mind. From where he stood, it is hard to make it out of Akira's face, but it looks like his eyes were shut. He was asleep. Yukihito leaned against the wall, his eyes narrowly slightly.
おい。
So I was looking at the spot against the wall, near to just woke up to this irritated
な
tone.
んだよ
なんだよって。今言っただろ。話聞いてなかったのかよ。
ああ悪い
やれやれ。
So I was expected to look up towards the ceiling along the round of out of time.
タグ、ちゃんと聞け。内戦がもうすぐ追っ始まるっつう話だよ。CFC と日光連がとうとうぶつかるらしい。
そうか
その前にイグラに勝ってビスキオを乗っ取れれば最高だ。けど内戦になったらそれどころじゃなくなる。混乱に乗じてせめてビスキオ内部を漁れればいいんだけどな。データだけでも手に入りゃ締めたもんだ。
そうだな
あのな。
To have this belief, to have it then to feel angry. So I was at another long sign. But Yukihito's mind or something else internally. With the pair of the day run into the front of the hotel. And the guy of the day mentioned, who was supposed to be tested Akira's blood and died. His blood. At last half of the participants in Iguro was on Rhine. And Akira himself has been tested the subject just like Yukihito's. If that wasn't the case, then Yukihito showed us his realization.
そんなに気になるかあいつが。
Yukihito's look up to the sea toys, drawing into a sour glance in Akira's
別
direction.
に
アキラっつったかあの新入り。
全然
He took his delivered curt tone in response to Toya's mocking.
やめとけ。なんかまずい気がする。
さっきの連中の話か 信じるのか、あんなの。
そういうわけじゃないけどよ。
Togainu sensed in his stares a shift in his head curious to Yukito.
お前
Yukihito.
まさかあいつをチームに引き入れようなんて考えてないよな。
ない。
As he replied, he reflected his complex feelings. Akira was strange. Yukihito looked up to everyone who joined the group, but was something off about Akira's from the beginning. Yukihito was planning to try to recruit him in the team. However, he was definitely the source of the concern.
だといいけどな。別にお前の行動にいちいち口出しするつもりはない。ただ俺たちはチームだ。みんなお前の情報を頼りにしてる。信じてる。これまで死んでった奴らのためにもそれを忘れんなよ。本当に頼むぜ。
Hey. After some in the hotel, Akira grew restless, staying in one place and never sleeping to him and his rose ventured outside. Beyond automatic doors, the sky darkened and at night approached.
待てよ。
Yes?
話がある。向こうの階段のところで。
Okay.
聞きたいことがある。
What is it? There is a tension in his face. The vertigo decided and it leaked into his tongue. At Akira's silence, Ursula Yukihito's son began to speak.
さっきホテルの前で会った奴ら。あいつらが言ってた血ってなんだ？
Being confronted so directly, Akira found himself at a loss for words. Who could we respond? Would Yukihito believe him, or if he came to clean? But it would be the strangest elaborate explanations offered as Akira's imagining getting carried away. But then again, maybe he could talk about Yukihito about it.
わからない。
わからないってなんだよ。
お前こそどうしてそんなに知りたがる？
Now Yukihito fell silent, brows in a frown between his brows. His downcast, gazing past the darkest shadows across his eyes.
少し気になることがある。
Huh?
気になること？
Something bothers you?
ああ。だから答えろ。
Yukihito's tone wrapped in airness and immediately browsing his under tear skins. Yet at the same time, Yukihito gazed casually serious.
本当だ。あいつらの仲間とやり合った時、そいつが俺の血を舐めて苦しみ出した。
He spoke slowly, like he was forcing each other without in his throat.
最初は偶然かと思った。でもその後も同じようなことが起こった。とてもただの偶然だとは思えない。
そいつら、お前の血を舐めた奴らはラインを。
多分。
Yukihito's demeanor changed completely. His eyes were fixed straight ahead. Yet it didn't appear to force him or anything.
おい。
Confused, Akira calls out, but Yukihito began to descend the stairs without turning to look at him. Akira could only watch as he retreated the figure suddenly disappear into the lobby. But the fact was that Yukihito's has reached out of the suggested or something Akira struck at the core. Regardless, Yukihito's change in demeanor was concerning. Akira found himself wondering if he would made the wrong choices when being honest with him. Maybe he shouldn't have said anything after all. That out of sign lended to self-loathing. Kira stares and blinking into this by the staircase. Okay. His hunch, probably the nose. In the way the nausea digests, Yukihito's left of the hotel, slipped into the back alley, and pressed his neck against the wall. The chill of the concrete seeps into the dirt of his jacket. This might be. Oh. Oh, God. You cannot take this anymore! Why are you like this? Now that you were considering, maybe I wasn't connected.
面倒なことになりそうだな。
He monitored no one in particular, casting the mentality to gaze downward. He couldn't not allow ended the toy with it any longer. Yet, even knowing that, the complex web of emotions flooded with the Yukihitos. Disappointment, despair, all the constant negative feelings. Jealousy. Towards whom? That didn't make any sense. And he shouldn't be jumping to the conclusions based on those speculations anyway. But this feeling of suffocations, as his chest being slowly crushed, what else could it be? Akira, a subject raised into the same openness as Yukihito's. They grew up in the same circumstances, experienced the same pains. Everything was the same. They were supposed to be the same. Unable to restrain an impulse, Yukihito punched the wall. The cold numbness spread through his bones. What was he angry about? Could this feeling be called anger? But he couldn't even answer that. Yukihito looked away in a pleasant ignorance. He was quite close, his eyes drowning out of the part of himself he couldn't control. In the day and the night, and the dark figure through the murky city was the Versio of those flowers.
何の用だ入れ。
Well, we gotta go see him. Oh no.
失礼します。
入りたまえ。突然呼び出してしまってすまないな。
話ってなんだ。
まずは座ってくれたまえ。何か飲むかね。
いらねえよ。それより話ってなんだよ。わざわざこんなくだらねえもんよこしやがって。
君は随分とせっかちなようだね。
ごたくはいい。早くしろよ。
それでは担当直入に行こうか。君の周りにアキラという名の青年はいないかね。
ああ、
いるのかな。
ああ、いるようないないような。つうかどうでもいい。
やれやれ。
で、そいつがいるならなんだってんだよ。
実はずっと彼と話がしたいと思っていてね。
あいつに気があるのか？
ああ、いいや。とにかく処刑人に連れてこさせようかとも思っていたんだが、ちょうど君たちと一緒にいるところを見たという話を聞いてね。
で、
連れてきてほしいんだ。彼を。
I don't want to lose them.
I don't trust what's going on here.
そんなのわざわざ俺を呼び出さなくても、あんたが捕まえろって命じりゃいいだけだろ。
できれば手荒な真似はしたくない。それにイグラの参加者はライン服用者が多いからな。下手をすれば勢い余って殺してしまう可能性もある。それでは困る。 もちろんただでとは言わない。それなりの礼は弾むつもりだ。悪い話ではないだろう。
あいつになんかあるのか。あのアキラってやつ、一体何なんだ。
I don't trust it what's going on.
君が知る必要はないな。
黙って言うことだけ聞けって。
その通り。引き受けるか拒否するか、それだけだ。
冗談。
おや、残念だ。君はもう少しチームの仲間のことを考える人間だと思ったんだが。
どういう意味だ。
どうとでも取ってくれて構わないよ。
てめえ。腐ってやがる。
お褒めに預かり光栄だ。
The part of the series is as scenes in the hotel front start to grow brighter than the morning light. Akira didn't really sleep. I would spend the whole night on the sofa in the lobby. He against the digging in the corner in the ceiling. His thoughts was recalling the scenes in a distant dream. Also, the Yukihitos kept flashing across his mind. At the time, Akira didn't know what the reason behind the hatred of the other man's eyes. He had no need to understand Yukihito's, not that he did have to.
Yo.
He stops in front. Akira sofa spoke to his voice, sounded like someone he looked. You might not have been much about toys as the same person. His didn't tell the person is hardly a positive. Akira thought it was just to ignore him. But figured that when he ended up causing more issues, he would start stares right back at the toilet without saying a word.
怖えね。
何の用だ。
ああ、あのな。雪人がお前を呼んでる。
雪人が。
ああ、ホテルを出て左側の路地にいるって。
Sensed something off. His hesitation tone, Akira found his brow.
どうしてわざわざそんなところに。
さあな。
Something wasn't right. You're being something suspicious. Toy has been avoiding his eyes contact while now. Then was the eyes did meet. He had quickly look away. Moreover, what could it is important that Yukihito want to talk to him about it? Thought it was the orphanage or the lab floating through his mind? Do Yukihito feel somewhere out of the way to make sure others wouldn't overhear? But it would be such an important matter. Couldn't Yukihito come get him himself? All that what Toya's acting suspicious. That's what I'm thinking of that, Akira. I know something that person seems suspicious. It just made Akira more suspicious.
早くしろよ。なんだよ。
大事な話なら自分で来いって伝えてくれ。
やっぱダメか。
It was that Akira realized Toya has been lying to him the whole time. Yeah, I know you're something suspicious. I know something suspicious when you talk. So what does it want? Well, clear what does it want.
どういうつもりだ。
I was not saying that. Toya remains space. The poor brother picked in his back. Kira's rushed herself and began to walk.
待てよ。
So he's about to summon her. So shoulder. Akira thinks to turn around. Oh no.
何
I'm about to say it like this. Just fucking trust me. I'm son. If Yukihito's there, he might want to punch someone's face. You're going to do something suspicious. Oh, Kira,
悪い。
you're gonna be. I'm gonna hate you for momentarily. Oh my gosh. I'm so sick of everything. I cannot read this no longer like that. I'm so tired of this. No, I'm not leaving. What I told myself. What I told myself. I'm so tired of this. Ugh. That bastard. I'm not gonna read it. I'm so mad.
ごきげんよ
Ugh.
う。顔色が悪い。気分はどうかね？
I'm gonna hate you too now, you freak. I'm
怪我
so
はない
tired.
か？そんなに睨まないでくれ。せっかくの私好みの顔が台無しだ。
I already did a bad end. And this one, I hate you.
どういうつもりだ？
何がかな？
とぼけるな。
What are you gonna do, Akira, again? I swear to God.
トウヤに俺をここへ連れてくるように言ったのか？
ああ、確かにそんなことは言ったが、別に強制はしていない。ただ、彼は利口だったということだろう。仲間思いの良い青年だ。まあ、今となっては些細なことだ。それより、もっと面白い話をしようじゃないか。なぜ君をここへ連れてきたのか、その理由を知りたくはないかね。例えば、君にはこんな経験はないかな。自分の血を摂取した人間が突然苦しみ出して死んでしまったとか。心当たりがあるようだ。なぜ私が知っているのか不思議かな。そのことをはっきりさせるためにも君に少しご協力願いたいのだが。
No, this new. I will not read because I know trusted. I hate this guy. I'm so done with this.
協力？
君の血液を採取させていただきたい。
何のために？
君が知りたいこと、そして私が知りたいことをはっきりさせるためだよ。いろいろと迷うところもあるだろう。もちろん断ってくれても構わないよ。ただし何もわからないままになるがね。またいつ誰が君の血に触れて死ぬことになるのか、なぜそうなるのか、何もわからないままだ。
結果を必ず聞かせろ。
もちろんだとも。約束しよう。ご協力感謝する。
Don't you dare touch him.
結果が出るまで少し時間がかかる。何か飲むかね？こんなところでなんだが、誰か呼んで持ってこさせようか。そういう強気なところもたまらないな。もし君さえよければ、ぜひとも私の作品になってもらいたいところだ。
作品？
そう。もう少し若ければパーフェクトだったんだがね。カウと並ぶ姿を想像するだけで胸がときめくな。 なぜ私が君の血液に興味を持ったのか。
Don't touch him. Don't you fucking touch him.
多忙な私だが、いくら参加者の管理は徹底している。君のこ
You know
の
what?
意味
I'm
が
tired of this.
そう。検査
I don't want to hear you.
どう
説
I don't
明
want
す
to hear it.
おいそう
Yukihito, you gotta save him. Huh? CG.
よく眠っていたようだが、
CG,
気
I
分
don't
はど
want
う
to
か
talk.
ず
Please,
これは
give
君
me
が知りたがっているこ
Yukihito.
とに深く
I'm so mad.
素直な子ライン
平気
そう精神的政府は多くニコル
ライン
私も全てを知っている
I'm
わ
really
けでは
sorry,
ない
everyone.
ご
I'm
協
tired of
力
this
感
freak.
も
I'm so
Line
sick of
of
everything,
それ
all
は
my
君が知る
hates.
あ
何の話だ
あおいややはりキス
Get my
い
answer,
いよ
Momo.
それでは
I'm so.
Yukihito!
Thank you! Yukihito, thank you! I'm gonna keep it, thank you! Finally, you're here to save me from this fucker! I'm tired of this! Oh, what do you want? Stunned in the words fallen, fail him. Just like he stares at two men before and is believed, climbing into his vision. Yukihito, both words and Marks will look to the after the brawl of their
何
faces.
ぼーっとしてる早く出ろ
Okay, gotcha. Startled by the voice, Akira's get his feet, recall that his hands and his were
どう
shackles.
や
I'm not talking to you no more.
任せろって
I don't care. I'm talking to you, Yukihito. I'm focusing you.
楽勝
その銃を
拝借したビスキオ様なら銃の一丁や二丁なくても平気だろ
Yeah, we're gonna get the hell out of here.
ここまで
My question, Yukihito. How the hell did you get here?
話は後だ
Okay.
行くぞ
Okay, no information. Gotcha.
Noted.
Yes. Yukihito glanced back, and the face of this makes an annoyance and
なんだよ
なんで来た
speak of the same thing. Why did they gone out of their way to save Akira? Sure, he shared the history with Yukihito's, having them part of the same orphanage. But his desires was rest of the team. It was nothing. He was nothing to know the suspicious character. Moreover, the person who was that set him up in the first place, this bastard. Seeing what the Akira was about to say, Yukihito was catching the fleet of the glance. I don't care.
今回のこと雪人にマジ切れされた
You think? You should be! You should be!
This is gonna give me a heart attack.
Sorry, I'm pissed!
一応言い訳するとアルビトロの野郎に脅されたんだよお前を連れてこねえとチームの連中がどう
I don't care.
それで
なんで部下や処刑人じゃなくてお前を
I don't care.
さあな
I'm not
もうい
talking.
いだろう早くしないとやばいことになる
Okay, well, okay, this is no time to argue. Thank you. I'll listen loud and clear. I'll stop.
お前は
But what about you? This is one of your most Yukihito's throughout the worst. Did it come? Did you get to move the steps off with the last credit glance over at his shoulders. Before adjusted, he followed his chin.
それも後だ。行くぞ。
There's no time for that, we gotta go. Gotcha.
妙だな。
Yukihito seems to think the same as Akira. Keeping through his eyes peeled, it started down the hallway
コ
alert.
ロシアムへ行く。
コロシアム？
そこから入ってきた。
If Akira recalls, that place was only accessible to Irai got a challenger. Under the North circumstances, the door was tightly locked in his chains.
あのコロシアムは外とつながる地下道がある。そこらの情報屋は知らないやつも多い。コロシアムはイルレ戦の時以外は警備も手薄だからな。
扉は鎖で縛られてるはずだ。
2階のやつを内側から壊した。
Okay, good. While Akira was definitely grateful of being rescued, this sounds also like the severe might quite mess of the things. In the eerie silence, the aluminum over the end of the group of the passed through several doors. Don't know. Oh no. Oh no. Not now.
便所はさ、こっちじゃねえんだよな。
Two master the figures away in the hall. They might become their interest. It sounds like a blizzard echo struck the perfectly polished floor. Oh no. Not them. It's not good.
なんかさ、そこの略奪愛なあ、子猫ちゃんを略奪愛仕返したらさ、遊んでもいいんだってよ
どうせならさ、鬼ごっこでもするかな。
This is not good. This is not good.
そんなおもちゃ抱えてさ、つうかそれ違反じゃね？なんだ、やっちゃってもいいってこと？むしろやられたいってことなのかな？
Oh man. Oh man, this is not good either. New CG. Oh sure, you're about to do redemption, huh?
No, not me.
Not in my life.
とっとと行けよ。笑えないぞ。
バカ。こうなったの俺のせいだしよ。
As you should.
Actually, don't care, sis. Don't say it. Don't say it, sis.
Yeah. I'm still pissed. I'm not forgiven.
食い止められると思ってんのか。
食い止めなきゃダメってやつだろ、この状況。
Yeah, right.
それにリーダーとしてもな、どうせもうすぐ内戦が起きてイグラもトシマも終わる。チームも解散したしよ。ここで全滅するよりはいいんじゃねえかな。
ケラッチ話してんじゃねえよバーカ。ゲルゲルゲルゲルカエルの合唱がっつんだよ。熊に引かれてのしがあるだっつな。
I still love the actors by any chance. I still love the executors. I don't complain.
中身のなさでいい
I'm just saying.
お前も同じじゃねえかよ。
I'm okay with these two.
いいよ。
They're okay. They're cool.
のしがえるって空気入れたら戻るんだぜ。知ってた？ってなんか逃げるっぽい匂いしねえ。行けって。
You better on your own. But the rain starts. The night was pitch black. Nickel rain drops as it poured down the north sky. Dashing through the steps of the entrance and the plunge to the city wet back alleys. Overwhelming emotional coursed up through Akira's veins. He clenches his teeth, tightly to hold it back it up. Hold it all back. Yukihito in his face, twisted looking at him, he might be screaming at any moment. Akira had no clue just how long would they have been running. It's good to be the dead end. Yukihito grabbed his handle and curled it into his fist and balled it towards him. The door slowly swung to open and hollow the metallic sounds.
ここ下水道につながってる。
This is it, the sewer. This is the way out.
下水道
God, if you're like sister, before you move on,
What?
when it comes to those you hate trust issues, just skip this. I said to myself, skip this all over again. Oh God.
That's a good thing.
Oh God.
That's a good answer, sis. That's what I'm doing throughout the mini on streams. When it comes to hate, here's a life tip. Life tip for the day, chat. When you hate this character, you gotta skip the mini dialogues. But before I continue.
Yeah.
It's because I'm tired of this trust issues.
忘れ去られたやつがな。
I'll tell you at the end of this one.
ど
Okay.
こへ出るんだ？
さあ。でも行くしかない。他に行くところなんかない。
Akira had no objections. Together with Yukihito's, Akira stepped into the depths of beyond the indicator of the door. And the interior was dark, true darkness. They couldn't see anything at all. With his vision, obscured the sensation and the dusty air against his cheek fell all of the more than pronounces.
知ってたのか？
何が？
In an attempt to confirm his existence, he called out with a response that came immediately right in front of
こ
him.
の場所。
人から聞いた。元見って情報屋に。
Of course, old man mentions. Of course. Hearing the name of the heroes revs of the
お
cash.
前が仮面に捕まってた時、ホテルで会った。向こうから近づいてきたんだ。アキラを知ってるだろって。うさんくさいから白切ったんだけど、もう時間がないとか言ってきて、この場所の話をされた。
Don't say that. It's not your fault. Don't say that. You're sick, but you saved them.
時間？
内戦のことだろう。CFC と日光連の。もう今日か明日かって勢いらしい。だから何かあったらお前連れて逃げてくれって。外への逃げ道なんて教えて、俺が他の連中に言いふらすとか、一人で逃げるとか考えないのかって煽ったら、あの親父すごい剣幕で頼んできて、なんか不意にできなかった。
I see. So old man mentions why.
おっさんはどうするって？
そこまでは。
そうか。
Makes
あい
sense.
つは信用できるんだろ。
So old man trusted you. Okay.
ああ。
Okay.
この下にあるとかって。
I know the scene was the sewer one.
どうやらおっさんの話は嘘じゃなさそうだ。日光連に繋がってるって言ってた。行くか。
Okay. So this might be the way out.
行くしかないんだろ。
Okay.
まあな。よし。
Let's hop into it.
チーム。
え？
チーム解散したのか？
ああ。内戦が始まったらイグラも何もないからな。バラバラになって逃げた方がいいだろう。
That makes sense.
そうか。
お前、自分のせいだとか思ってないよな。ふざけるなよ。
Exactly. Yeah, Kira, I think it's for the best to get over it. There's nowhere to be found.
自分のせいってのは自分のことしか考えてないのと同じだ。そんなくだらないこと考えてる暇があったらもっと他のことを考えろ。
Your advice is so true. So true now.
So true.
今どうしてここにいるのか、いることができるのか、その意味を考えろ。
Well, it started. When it comes to the eruption, it was a civil war start.
もう始まったのか。
It's the war.
地下道から出たら戦場の真っ只中なんてことにならなきゃいいけど。
話せよ。
あ
知ってたのか？
あ、何を？
俺の血のことを。
誰から聞いた？
ビスキオでアルビトロから。
あいつが？
研究に関わってたらしい。
そういうことか。俺も確信があったわけじゃない。やっぱりラインはエネドの新薬と同じなのか？
ああ。
そしてお前の血はラインの作用を中和する。
That makes no sense because his blood. That's what they after him. I get it.
ああ。
まさかとは思ってたけど、本当に全てつながるってことか。ガセ
I
じゃな
speak
かった
the
の
same
か。
thing. When it comes to suspicious about that blood, because if something went off, and I don't trust either. I get it. Think I get the gist, Yukihito.
正直複雑だ。同じ犠牲を払ったのにお前は成功したってことになる。
成功じゃない。誰も好きでこんな体になったわけじゃ。
分かってる。俺だってなりたいとは思わない。けどそういうことじゃなくて、それじゃあ何も起こらなかった俺たちは全くの無価値じゃないかって、そういう気分になる。けどお前がビスキオに捕まったって聞いたとき思った。さっきお前が言ったように誰も望んでこうなったわけじゃない。みんな苦しいのは同じだって。
俺は被験者じゃない。お前も雪人だろ。
I can agree on this.
そうだよな。
I believe your friend is dead all along. That's a shocker. There's nowhere to be found. Like I said.
Yeah, that's kind of so bad.
見ろ。
The light.
行くだろう。アキラ。
Finally.
あ。
The lighthouse entered a tunnel. Later down the underground island towards it. As the camera emerged into the underground passages, covered in the same kind of the footholds, and in entirety sheer the brightness poisoned the close of his eyes. Even the slightest glimpse of the light Light felt like it stabbed his eyes. The civil war has not begun in the nearest, and the surrounding atmosphere is already erupting any time. Despite Nicorina doesn't hesitate to give the Yukihito's and Akira's warm receptions. During the war, in the charge of the level against, Akira was put on hold, winning for the near future. The clock was nearly 10 in the evening. He has been leaving home soon. It was time for him to prepare. Making the way through the room, close to the room, Akira's pocketed utensils in a small Boston bag. 2 years had passed since he left Toshima. Tokyo lay in ruins. Just as Igura, full also Verisiota had vanished. Akira found that the solace in the spending of those peaceful days with Yukihito. Akira and Yukihito shared an apartment, split of the rent. Akira employs in the neighborhood, Western-style eatery. Yukihito's work as a waiter in the bar. That's nice. In a small apartment in the layers, the belongings to every corner. Leaving no place to step despite the collected terror, Yukihito is not concerned with tightness. Rather than to be attached to things, it seems like a lack of attachment. Akira has been the same. Whooping has tied it up. He would be the only tied it up would become much wiser than would leave things be. After the half of the clutters of the objects were Yukihito's drawings. But the black line looks like the density of the mysterious shown in this white paper.
時間準備したか
Oh,
ま
nice.
だみんな待ってる
Yukihito just expressed the door until his chin. They were members of the team and had banded together back into the civilization of Toshima. It seems it had been managed to escape. Toshima not scattered yet. There were still people that had gone missing during the war. The searchers for they were outgoing. They were headed to the small night trip, traveling into the car, but Akira was among the invited. The troops only to prevent their weather and sorrow, letting them live in the day of their spirit. In a moment like this, Akira thought he could have surely seen the enduring strength of the survival of Toshima. At first, he has been a perpetual test between the Akiras and the old team members, but they didn't warm up with him over time. If they were no longer Igura participants, they were appeared to the
ソリ
comrades.
とは
どの味だよ。
マンゴーとサヤエンドウ
コーヒー味は。
それも 何やってる
Oh,
バカだな
ah,
だったら部屋を片付けろよ。
俺だけのせいじゃない貸せ
お前また。
またああ覚えてたのか
don't start. Oh, this voice actor is too much. It's none of my business.
忘れられなかったってやつ
何やってんだよ。遅えぞ。みんな待ってるっつうの。なんだよ。じっと見つめて。アキラ気持ち悪いな。早く行こうぜ。
ああ
At the same time, I just want to hear something good moments of this one. At the same time, he had witnessed a lot of things that will never ever remain into his heart. His childhood was complex and tangled a mess. The wounds that had this time, and the judgment that heart is to heal. In fact, it is still tempted to he could barely stand to remember. Perhaps it would be never healed. Yet, All that was part of the journey and shaping into the man he was today. Yukihito likely felt the same. He had spoken to the joining grudge, to the executive vengeance, and the nations of the couldn't forgive. But the sense of the Civil War came to the end. Two of them would have spoken a word about the past over Toshima. The curious seems that perhaps Yukihito shared the same statement he did.
アキラ
Oh, this is cute! Oh, this is so cute. Normal AU. Got it. Turning back, Yukihito calls out to him. Behind them were familiar faces, those who he met in Toshima. Anger, sorrow, regrets, they couldn't erase any of them. So they would have embraced and added to continue to live. Taking their next step without hesitation. That will be how the day move forward. Despite the burden they both shared. Together they will carry on, together will be overcome anything. Well, finally done. It was a little bit 2 hours of runs of Yukihito's route. Final thoughts about Yukihito. He's new at this new exclusive content in the odd age version on available PlayStation 2, PSP, now this.
Well, this was the voice actor. I kind of like the voice actor more. The only folks on the voice actor. Was voiced
By, yeah.
Never mind.
Never fucking mind! God damn it! Yeah, that's all.
Never mind. Never bloody mind.
And I got Yukihito's achievement. Well, I think we're calling it a day. Before I'm about to turn on YouTube,